Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as... Start that again. Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as the earth, who deserves an extra shout out as he did a little response to Brian Cox yesterday, which I hacked up and mirrored. So big shout out to you. Chowian Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Renee, Rob H, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Hawkins, Unbelievable Productions and Windrider. So a massive shout out to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I'm going to do an extra shout out to Michael, and you know exactly who you are. I'll say your surname, but I'll probably butcher it terribly. Seklovosky. Hopefully I've not said that terribly, but you know exactly who you are. You've been my longest supporter, as far as I'm aware, so I just want to do an extra shout out to that particular person. He supported me on Patreon and various other means, PayPal and various other things, so just wanted to do an extra special shout out to him. Anyway, we are currently joined by a few people in Discord. No one in the G Plus Hangout yet, but I will raise the mic on the Discord server and you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever the hell is in there while I set up for the first live show.
I don't mean a rectangle and a square will have four corners, and they're not at the center. They're not converging at the center. They're on the outer rim.
Right, but I'm talking about in organic objects, there's no not necessarily but because there are sometimes crystals that are in perfect square shapes and stuff like that form. But I'm talking about like on a map on Earth, there are no like necessarily straight lines except for the horizon. And then if the outer realm isn't necessarily a perfect circle, or it's got like a blob shape or something like that, it could still have four corners converging in the center of it, because there would be four corners if you cross sect
I guess if you dissect it in a particular way, you can have the dissection marks crossing each other, giving you four corners on the cross, so to speak. Yeah,
that was what I said when I said quarter.
But yeah, I understand that, and I did say that it could work on just about any shape.
Because when I looked up in the eSword concordance, it said an angle, corner, quarter. So
I mean, even Mobius here mentioned a blob, which is not a circle.
Right, it's ambiguous, right? The outer shape, the outer boundaries, I guess.
That's right. It's ambiguous. Yes. I mean, that I think was my point from the start.
Right, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that the only time I can imagine, where something can be have four corners without designating an outer barrier, a shape for the outer barrier would be a cross section with the corners converging. And they don't even have to converge in the center. They can converge anywhere, but just four corners, meaning there's two cross sections and there's four, not even necessarily equal parts, but just four four sections.
So if I'm to interpret that correctly, then the Bible doesn't tell us what shape.
Well, hold
the
on. I'll
Earth
post
is.
something in chat right now. Because there's one that says the Earth takes
It
shape
just tells us there's.
like a clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. And when I look at that seal, there's like a perfect circle near the one point, but then the outer edges of the clay is all like blobby. So maybe
Right, but
Bobby
a seal
point.
doesn't necessarily have to be circular
Exactly.
either. I
That's
mean,
that's why I was actually thinking about that too. It could be like a square seal. Is there a square seal? Let me look it up. Yeah, I googled it and I see some. Check this out. It's one image. It's kind of small, but you got yeah.
Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Have you seen Bitcoin in the last 24 hours?
No.
It was sitting, minding its own business, fluctuating around about 6,500 to 7,000. It's been like that for ages. It's been consistently 6,500. It bottomed out to 4,400 at 10 o'clock this morning. So it's lost like between £1,000 and 1,500 quid, depending on where you put your base mark. And it's gonna. I don't know whether it's something to do with Corona or something to do with anything that's something else, but it's lost a shitload of value in the last few hours. And I reckon it's going to get even lower because people are panic buying like fuck. People seem to be selling all their stock in Bitcoin and buying goods instead, real assets. Costco's out of fucking toilet rolls. Stupid.
Yeah, I'm largely unaffected by this particular brand of fear porn.
Yeah, me too. What are we on now? 12th of... So if I went back to 12th of Feb, the value on 12th of Feb was, this time on the 12th of Feb, a month ago, it was just under 8,000. And it's been fluctuating plus or minus 7.5 all that time. So it peaked at about 8. But its really baseline was around about 7.5. But it's dropped today in the last hour to like 4.5. Lost half its value in a few hours. It's like, whoa, what's going on? Have we got a pandemic going on or something that I'm not not paying too much attention to? They're definitely ramping up this corona bullshit.
As I say, I'm
supposedly
largely
a case
unaffected
right
by this
by-
particular brand of fear porn.
There's supposedly a case of corona right near me.
Say again,
That's the
Oblivion.
first. What's that?
is
You
it
should
in your
repeat it.
fridge?
The guy's on quarantine. 30 minutes for me.
Is he on quarantine self-imposed, or is he on quarantine in a medical institution? Oh. Can you not hear me? I'll talk to myself.
Oblivion, you there?
It's flashing, but
Maybe.
nothing's coming out. Just drop and rejoin Oblivion. For some reason, your light's coming on. Oh, it's gone.
Because in the House of Commons yesterday, it said that the government are going to grant sick pay to anybody that declares themselves unfit for work and self-regulates or self-quarantines themselves, even if they're not showing symptoms. And it's like, are you encouraging people to phone in sick? What the fuck's going on?
Is that better?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, so you guys didn't hear anything I said, or what?
No.
I asked, was he being self-quarantined or was he being quarantined in a hospital cell?
Yeah, he's at a hospital.
All right, so he might have the actual virus then.
Why? Because he's in a hospital.
That's what the news says.
It's just more believable if he's in a hospital.
I see. That's a good reason to put him in a hospital then.
It's just more, but it adds some credibility to his claim, isn't it? Doesn't it? If he's actually in hospital.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's true.
I heard that that it's basically just like any other. That more people die from the flu. Only this has 40 times higher of a death rate, supposedly, is all.
Yeah, but our death rate is less than 1% at the minute. We've got 5 fatalities, 600 infections. That's less than 1%. It's comparable to normal flu, and all the people that are dying are also like pensioners that are elderly or infirm, or both. Again, it's behaving just like flu.
Where'd you get those statistics?
Read them on the internet, so they must be
Me?
true.
So the statistics you read said 1% of whatever. Not to worry. Correct?
It said 6 deaths and 680 current infected cases in Britain, or similar. Might not have been exactly 680, but it was similar.
So what if I showed you a report in a week's time? Said 50,000 infected, 600 dead.
I'd do a quick arithmetic and see what percentage that was.
Who's a lower percentage?
What?
Lower percentage.
Did you say higher percentage?
Lower. It's basic maths. It's lower percentage. Like 0.6%.
Okay. Is that the end of your question?
Yeah, I'm saying what's your state of mind now? All I'm
I
saying
would say
is, right,
that
okay.
number is at least consistent with previous figures. Doesn't mean it's true, just means it's consistent. But then I would say, oh, hang on, what was the mortality rate in Italy? And their mortality rate was something like 16%. But they said that it was mainly because they were elderly that were killed, which would make sense, but it still seems disproportionately high in Italy. But it seems to be that Wuhan, the origin, the epicenter of this, is now losing these people. The new infections rate is dropping, but that also correlates with switching off the 5G as well. So it's like, what's really going on here? This seems to be weird.
The 5G.
All I was trying to get to was, if I gave you stats that were much, much larger, I can't even do the maths in my own head. I'm too tired. I haven't slept in about 6 days. Kids are all ill. Anyway, my point is, if I gave you stats that had much larger numbers but a lower percentage of fatalities, how would you react? And then I was going to ask you, after your reaction to that, if I gave you a disproportionately lower percentage of actual people of the population but a higher number of fatalities, how would you react then? And then top it off with, what if I just gave you massive numbers? 50,000 infected, 250,000... can't even do basic maths. 50,000 infected, 25,000 half dead. Would you panic?
No.
Right.
I wouldn't panic, because the reality is they're just numbers on a piece of paper at the end of the day. And we just don't. I don't know what really is going on, and I don't believe what I'm being told anyway, because I think I'm being lied to. So no, I personally wouldn't panic. Would you panic, Nathan?
I couldn't give a shit about any of this. None of this is... It's all nonsense. The only place this exists is in the media, as far as I'm concerned. And like I said yesterday, I don't expose myself to it, so... The only exposure I've had was the iPad forcing me, because it's got a little sidebar, like widgets, equivalent of widgets. And last thing I saw before I turned it off and went to sleep last night was it saying something about Tom Hanks and his wife being infected. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Why are you telling me this? You want me to know that people are infected, don't you, iPad? Boo. I don't care. But now I know, don't I? Now I know. I'm just part of the walking lemmings being told that Corona is something I should concern myself with. Now I don't. I don't concern myself with it at all. That's clearly not what's required. You're required to be scared of this. That's the purpose. It's fear porn.
It is all fear porn.
So, yeah, who cares? Randomly made up statistics, dodgy maths.
I was having a back and forth with Wolfie before. He was trying to tell me how maths proves things, and I'm like, maths doesn't prove anything other than the sum itself works out. And he said, of course maths proves things. That's how planes fly around the globe safely. And I said, no. Planes fly around the globe because of the effect of the Bernoulli effect caused by lateral thrust from rockets. That's how planes fly. Nothing to do with maths whatsoever. And he wasn't having it. He started defending it. And I said, Wolfie, I'll show you that maths doesn't prove things. 1 + 1 = 2. We both agree. But I haven't actually got 1 and 1 to give you 2. I've got nothing. Now, if you tell me that 1 + 1 = 2, therefore I've got 2, then you're saying that maths proves that I've got 2. But I've just told you that I don't have anything. So just because 1 + 1 does equal 2 doesn't mean I have 2. And he doesn't understand it. He still thinks that maths is proof of something.
Let's read out a quick Quora quote. Not the best source, but it's just the first thing that came up on Google. Math is abstract. It's obviously American. Maths is abstract. Because numbers are not real entities. They are purely imaginary concepts. We cannot experience numbers. There is no such thing as 1 of anything in our experience. There can be no such thing as 2 of anything in our experience, etc., etc. Abstract. Maths is abstract.
Same way that distances are, speeds are, latitudes are.
I like it. If you look up abstraction, in brackets next to abstraction, mathematics. Wikipedia, I love it.
Are you recording, by the way, Nathan?
I am. Always think I'm recording. If I'm talking, I'm recording.
Not always true, though, is it?
Generally speaking, it's always true.
Oh, Nathan, can I ask you a trolley question? Because I hear a lot of people stating this about you, and it really pisses me off.
Go on.
Because I just feel like going in there going, rah, and I never can be asked, but I just thought I'd ask you anyway. The statement that they always say is, Nathan knows it's a sphere, he's only doing this for money. And I'm like, have you ever spoken to Nathan offline in any way whatsoever? Just so I can get a soundbite, so I can just play it. I can just rip it off and then just stick it in the on Facebook or whatever of you saying the answer. What is the answer to the question when someone says, Nathan knows it's a globe, he's only doing this for money?
Part 1 is obviously total nonsense. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. If that isn't made explicitly clear on this show by me on a daily basis, then I don't know what is. But there we go. That's just wishful thinking. So, no, that's not true. Why do I sit on YouTube? Yeah, to make money. This is what I would consider to be my job now. Yes, I've overlapped part-time work with working my way into YouTube and building a channel that's sustainable to actually pay me a moderate, if not poor, income. It's okay. Sometimes it's really good. Most of the time it's just very average, if not below average. And if you work it out, which I sometimes do, and it's very depressing, how many hours I put in versus how much I get out, it's a very, very low, well below minimum wage amount. So, you know, do I do it because I want to be a YouTuber and want to be successful and earn money from it? Absolutely correct. Yes, this is something I do for money. But if you love what you do, you don't see it as work. It's only when I qualify it in terms of the amount of hours and the amount of effort I'm putting in that it's depressing. But when I'm actually doing it like now, this is a joy, right? Talking about flat Earth, talking about society in general, my detachment from TV in this instance. It's fascinating stuff. And then it doesn't, when you're doing it, seem like work at all. But ultimately speaking, it is time that I've, locked myself in a room. I'm not spending with my family. I'm not doing things that are, just for me. It is still work, if you want to look at it in that way. Do I love what I do? Absolutely. And have I picked a topic that I want to talk about? Yeah. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to talk about it. So am I very passionate about the subject of flat Earth? Absolutely. Do I think the world's a sphere? No, of course not. It's not a sphere. It's a totally untenable model now. When I'm highlighting just how untenable the model is, why it's untenable, and why anybody who's listening to me talk would appreciate just how untenable the model is, why would you be so absurd as to assert that I'm on the side of the globe? Obviously, I'm not. That's absurd.
Mm.
Hey, Tent.
I think they just do it because they know that you're not going to respond.
I think it's just wishful thinking. It's the same principle as someone saying the black swan's dead. Or saying the black swan's been debunked 5 times. It's like, what you mean is you've seen 5 videos titled Black Swan Debunked. And that's enough for you to think that that's the case. Wishful thinking, right?
It's shocking.
Wishful thinking, how can somebody who's so, forthright in their dogged assertions that we're not on a sphere, how could they possibly not be on a sphere? That's their logic. Well, he must be on a sphere. He's just, he's just doing it for the money. He knows that flat earthers will give him money, therefore he knows he's actually on a sphere. We get flat earthers that do the exact same thing. Well, Joe Rogan knows it's flat. He knows NASA's fake. Well, does he? That's not what he's saying. Well, he used to say it. Well, so what? He's not saying it now. Does that mean that he believes everything he says? Does he have any way of verifying it either way? No. How can you divine his thoughts either way? You can't. Essentially, they're divining my thoughts, right, Anthony?
Yeah.
That's pathetic. Ask him where their crystal ball came from.
I was watching a claimed debunk video of the Black Swan by someone called something like Speak Truth, Hear Truth, or something like that. And he didn't even address the horizon. He made the point that his whole point revolved around his perception that the camera wasn't at a foot because there was some element of readjustment at the beginning. So right at the beginning of the video, he puts the camera down on the floor. It's clearly on the floor. He then picks it up for some reason, or he seems to pick it up for some reason, whilst he relocates the camera slightly. Now, his interpretation was that meant that he was not at 1 foot. And I'm like, right, okay, so what would you think that he's at then? Would you think that he's suddenly at 10 feet? Does it make any difference? He didn't even address the claim that the horizon behind the 2 platforms needs to be explained. He didn't even address it, but he called his video a debunk. And I was like, that is just pitifully embarrassing. Well, people watching his video will accept a comforting lie, and they'll go, yeah, he's debunked
Exactly.
He
That's exactly it. He's catering to somebody who wants a comforting lie. And maybe that lie's told, he's seen that as, well, because it's clearly not at 1 foot, because he's only heard that bit of the detail, 1 foot observation. Now, the presentation, which has been repeated ad nausea, makes it absolutely explicitly clear that even if it was in excess of 30 feet, which she's not, then it would only put the horizon between the 2 platforms. Based on geometry. Okay.
Yeah.
The rest of your clan are arguing for a non-physical, non-geometric horizon currently while we all laugh at them. Pour petrol on that bonfire. That's what we're doing. So you want to concern yourself with that and not being at 1 foot. Who cares? It makes no difference. Got to put them at about 35 feet to get the horizon between the 2 platforms based on their geometry. So who cares?
It was just shocking how he described his so-called debunk. It was shocking, Nathan.
Are you suggesting that their rebuttals to the Black Swan are less than genuine?
It was it wasn't even the rebuttal didn't even address. It didn't even touch the point that we were making. His whole point was around the camera being not placed on the grass or not placed on the sand and then being relocated to justify it not being at a foot. Well, we all know it's less than a foot, but he wanted it to be more than a foot and then never said anything else at all to address it. But he called it a debunk, and I'm like, you absolute fucking idiot!
Well,
Unbelievable.
I think Nathan just said it. They're catering to people who want comforting lies. It's pretty obvious.
Actually, it was me that said that. Let's just keep the. It was me that said
that. All right, you get the credit. Okay, Nathan said at 35 feet, it should be between the two platforms. So if it's not at a foot, is it at 35 foot, or do you think it's less than 35 feet? It doesn't matter. It's the horizon.
But even at 35 feet, it doesn't matter. You know, it's not representative of him being at 35 feet. So if you did do the maths for 35 feet, it's still not going to give you that observation. It doesn't push the horizon beyond the second platform. Now, you know, somebody might come along and say, well, yeah, but if I put it at 46.5 feet, then the horizon's just beyond those platforms. And you're like, okay, but he isn't. Who cares?
Yeah, they got to do this stuff so that it looks like they're debunking, but they're really not, because all you got to do is say, well, did you see that? Did you see that? And then actually, it's kind of cool that they're doing it, because we could see how desperate they are.
They look stressed too. When I see them making the response videos, I just see people who are looking cognitively stressed out. You know, then you go to a Mitchell from Australia video and he's like, all right, mates, check this out. I'm going to slaughter this dude. He does. He's all smiles. And you're like, yeah. You know, other than the occasional fundy interruption here, generally it's the same here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Mitchell's having fun with it, you might say.
I messaged him on Skype yesterday saying, well done on his video against Mr. Sensible. Of course, I re-upped it and ripped bits of my own into it. But I said, what's really good about Mitchell from Australia, he's got an accent that's obviously an Australian accent, but the way his dialect or his prose comes out, it comes out in such a way that's really irritating. Now, obviously, if he's on our side, we can use that to our advantage. And I said to him, make sure that you use a little bit of adenoids in your pronunciation of certain words just to rile them up, because it pisses them off.
You know he's a New Zealander, right? You realise that? You always get these wrong.
Say that again.
You know he's a New Zealander, right?
Oh, who cares? Australia, New Zealand, same country.
Yeah,
Mitchell it's like Manchester and Salford.
Mitchell from Australia's a New Zealander, Anthony.
Because to us, it's the same country. I know it's technically different and I can't distinguish between them. That's fine.
You're missing the joke. It doesn't matter.
It's fine. But I was saying to him, make sure you just like emphasize that accent at times. I said, because that beard, and I said, and your long hair, and if you add that to the accent, I said, it gives a really annoying picture of you that they love to hate that.
Wow,
so,
what a backhanded insult that is. It started off well.
It wasn't a backhanded compliment. It wasn't an insult. It was just to emphasize those bits because it pisses them off, mate.
Be you more, Mitchell. You're really annoying them. That'd be a hard phrase. That. You'd be you, mate.
You know what I mean? It wasn't meant that way, but it might have sounded worse than I meant it. But he knew what I meant.
Who else could it be?
I kind of get what you mean. He's like a cool hipster dude, right? And
yeah,
you know, those people generally give off a kind of passive persona. So if you're having your ass handed to you by someone like that, it's all the more humiliating. Is that what you're kind of trying to drive at?
Yeah. You don't want to be humiliated by I'm going to use the phrase redneck. I don't mean that
redneck.
Literally.
He's a hipster. Why'd you call him a head? He's not bloody redneck. How dare you?
No, I'm using
Mitchell. I'm going to slap him on your behalf.
I'm meaning all this with love. Stop making this into a drama. You know the point I'm making. I don't quite know how to word it, but you know what I mean.
I'm being mean.
You are being mean.
Oh my gosh. Anthony, put the shovel away. You're getting deeper.
That's me. I started that little train wreck by saying he was by twisting his words.
Yeah.
He's just being himself,
Nathan.
and they can't take it.
Hey, is that Mouse?
Mouse, yeah, Mighty Mouse. Like
How you
in
doing?
Randy's thing. No, Moostone.
Moostone.
Yeah.
Good to have you back. Nice and early.
Well, yeah. Well, I couldn't join last time. That's the issue. So, do you want me to try? I have something. I don't know what it's worth really, but it addresses the Black Swan.
Yeah.
Do you want me to post this? I have something that I'm gonna try and post into the feed, into the stream. Can I do that now?
Yeah, if you post it to the live stream in Discord, hopefully you're there, Righteous. Hopefully one of the people on the panel can get it presented for the audience.
Yeah, but I think I have to do a computer restart.
Got 10 minutes before the live show anyway, so...
Can I do a restart and be back?
Yeah, that's fine.
Should I do it now then?
Yeah, if you post whatever you need to post, well, don't worry about who, but Righteous Force will sort out getting it onto the screen once he's restarted his computer. But in the meantime, whatever you want presented, just post it in the live stream chat, and then Righteous can gather it up, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, I think...
You gonna give us some hinters, like a little praise here?
Well, I mean, it's a picture.
Okay.
I've just posted it. It's...
Is it literally just stick the picture up and go, ta-da? Is that it?
No, sorry, it's not a picture. I mean, it's a, it's a drawing.
Okay, a diagram.
Yeah, with the beach and the water.
Cool.
What's the distance between B and C?
So do you want me to discuss this now?
Like I say, we've got 10 minutes before the live show. If the other people in Discord who can already see it want to discuss it with you, I'm not going to stop them. I can't see it yet.
Is it the Moose Tone one?
Yeah. Did you want to pop it up,
Yeah,
Anthony,
yeah.
if you can?
Yeah, you need to open the original to see it.
All very exciting.
What's the distance in miles between B and C?
Nobody can. It's just a conversation between you and one dude. We've got an audience, so any chance you can get it up?
Me?
Yeah,
I got it up
anybody. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Righteous.
Let me know when you want me to start commenting.
It's on screen now, just sizing it, so just give us another couple of seconds.
Oh
that looks
yeah,
good.
I don't know. I mean, it has to be on the, just has to be in the right direction.
Is it in the right
Yeah, I
orientation?
gotta rotate it, eh?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I'm rotating it right
sec.
now, and I was just gonna upload it.
What the?
Oh, good.
How do I save these images again?
That's why we have a pre-show.
I've rotated it. Do you want me to share it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, share screen. Okay, we see you on. We've got it on screen.
Okay, thanks. So, I mean, this was intended as a variation of the Black Swan. So, suppose you're in a bay, and you're on the beach. The observer is standing at point B. So I've got on the left hand the helicopter view. I mean, suppose it's a bay, a bit like close
Hold
to
on
where
one second.
Ranty used to make his
Just one sec.
observations.
Hold on one
And
sec.
then on-
just one sec. Anthony,
Yeah.
can you get it to a decent size and then just leave it? Because at the moment, I can't follow along with what he's saying or see it. There you go. That's good
That's the
enough.
best I can get it.
That's perfect. Sorry, my friend.
Okay, so should I start again? So
Go ahead.
no problem. So let's say I'm an observer at the beach, and the observer is standing at point A. let's say it's a bay, similar to the one I believe that is close to where Ranty made some of his observations. And so you can see the helicopter view on the left-hand side, and on the right side, bottom, you're so this is a view of the horizon. So you're standing at point A, and therefore you have point B and C is essentially the tip of the bay, right? So
Yeah.
you can see that actually you can naturally measure the distances between A and B and A and C, and even between B and C, right?
Yep.
Just like you can in the Black Swan picture. Agreed?
Yeah, I'm with you. Go on.
So I think you can perform the classic Black Swan by doing this, because I think one of the challenges of observations was to have something that is at a known distance in the horizon, and I think this could also serve this purpose.
Yeah.
Now there's an additional point to it, is that and using modus tollens is that if P, so if the Earth is round and is a sphere and has a certain curvature, then on the side view, so if you look at the right bottom part of the drawing, the line, so the horizon B to C should curve, just like, and you should be able to measure geometrically when you're observing at at the beach. You should be able to observe a certain distance, which I tried to draw in the on the right hand side in the top corner, right? So if we apply modus tollens, if P, so Earth is a sphere, then Q, you have sideways curvature, not P, so not Q, therefore not P. Thanks.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. This is,
and sorry, Nathan, I have an additional point.
Go ahead.
Because I think that this absence of curvature, this absence of curvature, obviously, the curvature that you would see if it were a sphere, well, this sideways curvature that is observable from the side, well, it obviously would not be affected by their supposed looming, refraction, whatever. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Cool. There are some examples I can think of. I don't know if the distance between B and C would be big enough, but Heath Carmody does his observations on this very narrow lake, and because it's quite narrow, there's plenty of little jutty outy bits, if you will, that are equivalent to your bay, and he can then demarcate precisely where the horizon lies, and he has done. And in his own words, he said most of the observation he makes are black swans.
It seems to me it would destroy the refraction it would be an additional argument against refraction, looming, etc.
Well, there's a thing with this. If you're the observer, where is the horizon at your observer height? Is it beyond B and C? If so, you wouldn't observe any curvature between B and C.
Well, I'm assuming this demonstration would work, would be effective if you have a horizon that is approximately at B and C at that point, yeah.
Yeah, and if the horizon was at B and C, what distance between B and C would you think you would need to be able to see an element of curvature?
Vast. It's about the size of the composite. I know how big this is just because we did it with the Isle of Man, and we looked at the advanced calculator to get the mathematics of how much there should be dropping at the edges. In other words, how much this physical obstruction should bend. It's qualified. It's in the advanced tab of their calculator. But the entire composite image of the Isle of Man, for example, I can't tell you the... Do you know off the top of your head, Anthony, what in your acuity, how much left to right you've got in the composite? Do you know the width of the island? I'm going to guess and say it's
in
about
degrees.
No, in miles.
Or distance.
Distance.
I think it was about 45, wasn't it?
I thought it was about 45, but that's off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and check. But my point is that even when you're looking at something 30 miles away, you've got to be able to see, like, if in this instance it's kind of hard to qualify because it's an almond-shaped island, but you're looking across it and seeing about 45 miles from side to side of it in the composite image that Anthony and Ranty put together. And at that point, you can start to qualify how much it would curve down. Now, from that, I make the statement as follows. You should see the curvature from ground level. And it's true, it's part of the maths. So when they say, oh, you won't see any curving till you raise up to beyond this certain point, it's like, no, it should automatically start curving more from the curvature you observe at ground level according to them, even though it's very slight. You should still be able to calculate it in something like the composite image we've got for the Isle of Man. Now that's, you know, it's a lot of territory to have in an image. Let's put it that way. There you go. You got it on screen. Well done, Anthony. You're way ahead of me.
Well, I was just going to say that from this vantage point, it doesn't matter where it is at the minute. I can see if I stand on this particular hill, I can see somewhere down this coast here, and I believe I'm looking at this point here, and I can see all the way up to Blackpool. So that line of, if I bring the thing over here, this ruler, you'll see that Blackpool, I can see the tower from where I'm at, and it says that the heading is 325, and then the angle, therefore, is about 250. So it's about 100 degrees-ish, 90 degrees-ish. If I get rid of that line there now, and then roughly, this is only loose, but ruler, just say it was there, and put it up to Blackpool, that would be effectively your BC distance, 45 miles. Now, they say you get 1 degree for every 49 miles. Now, that happens to be roughly about 49 miles. They would say 1 degree is too small for you to be able to perceive.
Right.
But 1 degree still got, I can't remember the figure now, but there was still geometric drop across that.
I've got to start a live show. Yes, you're correct, Anthony. But even though it's only a small amount, it's still calculable, and they've got the maths for it. So yes, you're correct. Anyway, I'm going to start the live show.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Sleeping Warrior, Righteous Force, Paul Hall, Chocolate Saiyan, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to add something on
Good
the
morning.
diagram. I think I've swapped the not Q and the Q.
That's okay,
on the
don't worry.
right
So, for the live
so that I
audience,
don't
we
get beaten
had
up
a
by
presentation before the show. Did you want to give a concise summary of it after we do the housekeeping?
Ugh. Actually, I'm at work, So
That's okay. We've got it down. It's been recorded. It was in the pre-show, so it's something I'll direct people to go and listen to, and maybe even snip out if it gets a good reaction. But nevertheless, thank you very much for doing the presentation. I'm sorry I didn't get to say it during the pre-show because we ran out of time.
No. Thank you very much then. Bye.
Thank you for doing it once again. Moose Tone.
Moose Tone, yeah.
Moose Tone. I'll get
Moose
it.
Tone,
I'll
yeah.
get it once, I promise. Moose Tone. Thank you very much once
pleasure.
again. If you want to figure out what the hell we're talking about, like I say, you'll have to check out the Uncut and After show, which goes out on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. There is a link in the info box, so that's typically where the much longer pre-shows, where we do a bit of administration in terms of getting the show working, and indeed, like in that instance, because of time restraints, somebody did a little presentation. So go and subscribe to my second channel, and you can see that presentation later on, maybe in 4 or 5 hours time over there. So, any signs of a physical geometric Earth curve edge?
Only if you imagine it.
Owie.
Not since 2019.
Right on. Yeah, very 2019 argument. Earth curve. Any signs of that?
Not from Lake Havasu.
Only if you imagine it.
No, not even then. Imagine
Anybody in Discord? Any signs of axial rotation?
Well, only if you imagine it.
No.
The spin stops here.
Tony, where did you get this notion that imagining things make them real? Pretty sure they don't.
Oh, well, Wolfie 6020 thinks that if you calculate something, that makes it real, because he thinks that maths proves something. And I'm like, Wolfie, if you do 2 + 2 = 4, that means that I've got 4 apples in my hand, right? Because you've done the maths, but I haven't actually got any apples in my hand. So 2 + 2 may equal 4, but it has absolutely no bearing in evidence whatsoever because I haven't got any apples, Wolfie. He doesn't seem to understand that.
Okay, that's
Maybe
great. Still doesn't make it real, though.
Well, yeah, I agree. Doing the maths reifies it into existence in Wolfie's mind. He won't listen to reason.
Maybe he's doing core math.
Yeah.
So
The more they math it, the more real it becomes.
I'll read out the Wikipedia entry again. So if you look up abstraction, in brackets next to it, mathematics. Abstraction in mathematics is the process of extracting the underlying structures, patterns, and properties of a mathematical concept, removing any dependence on real-world objects with which it might ordinarily be connected, and generalizing it so that it has wider applications, or matching among other abstract descriptions of equivalent phenomena. Two of the most highly abstract areas of modern mathematics are category theory and model theory. That's abstraction. Mathematics, abstract. Now physics deals with the physical. Mathematics deals with the abstract. Math is not reality. Math is abstract. Moving on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Only if we talk about it continuously non-stop as though it's real.
That's scientific evidence in your books, not in mine.
Oh, but we can calculate it. That makes it more real.
No, it doesn't.
Does if you're a moron.
Yeah, but
Right.
we're not, aren't we?
I'm just doing what they do, Arwin. Stop spoiling the party.
Can you see who's in Discord? Direct it at someone on Discord rather than at us, because you're just going to get Arwen offended.
Arwin gets offended by me all the time. You should be used to it by now. Let's have a look. Who's in Discord?
I don't know.
Um,
Scurry a few of them off mute. Let's have a look.
Kosho. Kosho seems to be alive. Are you there, Kosho?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, have you worked out that your maths for the cosine that you were trying to use that day was wrong?
Hey,
have you
no
conceded that
advance.
yet?
We're in the middle of housekeeping. I've forgotten what question. Wasn't this related to a housekeeping question we just asked?
No, absolutely not related to it at all.
God damn you.
It was related to any evidence of R, wasn't it?
I don't know. We hadn't got to R yet. I've got to scientific evidence of gravity.
Oh yeah, gravity. Kosho, do you know what gravity is?
I think it won an Academy Award for special effects with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney.
Good answer.
So would that be a no? Then you don't know what gravity is.
Well, I wasn't watching the whole thing. I kind of fell asleep.
No. So do you think that gravity exists, Kosho?
Well, based on that movie, Kosho, it's a bunch of bullocks.
Right, no more interruptions. Just Anthony and Kosho, please.
Oh yeah, no evidence here.
No evidence. Oh right. Do you believe that there's a gravity then, even though there's no evidence?
I don't know.
Oh great. So in that case then,
why are you
if you don't
conceding
believe,
this? Hold on, something's going wrong. Why not? Why would you concede that? I don't. It does not compute.
Well, I'm just going through the motions. That usually you get through the housekeeping questions rather quickly. I'm just trying to run it along as well.
I'm just shocked.
Oh, so you're lying then?
No, I'm just shocked that you conceded to both those points. I don't really understand why you would, but you have.
Yeah, I conceded, yeah.
So have you only conceded it so that you can get through housekeeping quicker? It's not actually your position, therefore technically it's a lie.
A white lie, I guess.
Because I was deceived. I thought that you were genuinely conceding.
You know,
I've been conceding a lot lately, and it's almost never been genuine. It's usually just some places you got to concede to hang, you know?
So if it's not genuine, does that make it dishonest?
I guess so. You can perceive it that way, but I was honest about it when you asked me.
Okay, well, let's not do any concessions based on going through housekeeping faster. Let's do concessions based on reality and evidence and things that you believe otherwise are true. Do you understand what gravity is, Kosho? Because it is defined and we know what causes it, right?
Let him answer.
Yeah, I do understand. That's right.
Yeah, it is defined and we do know what causes it, right? Any chance that you could cite back the definition for gravity according to current science?
Yeah, hold on though. I gotta take this phone call, but I will.
It's not even ringing. We can hear it's not ringing.
He's got it on silent. It's buzzing his knee.
It's all right. Should we have a moment of silence whilst we wait for him to come back?
No. Look, he already made it pretty clear, albeit subtly, that he doesn't want to play. Played long enough. Let's just move on with housekeeping. If he wants to join back in, he will. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Yeah, Danny Faulkner can't do any scientific experiments. No. Writes a book on. He's a PhD that writes a book about debunking flat Earth claims and then doesn't even mention Einstein in his gravity section. I find that unbelievable.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Oh, do you know, Mr. Sensible thinks that we might have debunked the radius of Earth, but that's all we've debunked, but doesn't realise that if we've debunked the radius of Earth, then that would make the black swan distance to the horizon force the radius to at least half the size of the sun, and that's being conservative because we put the horizon at 10 miles, and using Mick West's curve calculator, we can change the radius of Earth, and he's done all the maths for us. So we just put in the new radius to see where the horizon would be at 10 miles, and what do you know, it's half the size of the sun. But he thinks that he can get away with saying that we've debunked the radius to, instead of 3959 miles, he thinks that it would be 3960 or 3961 miles, not realizing that the actual scale difference would be half the size of the sun. So is there any evidence of the distance to the sun? Don't know, Mr. Sensible's changing all the variables by conceding that we've debunked the radius, so we don't really know how big the sun or how far away the sun is anymore, because Mr. Sensible thinks that we might have debunked the Earth's radius value.
Right. What's the issue with that? It's just that the scale of everything else in the entire heliocentric model suddenly no longer fits. That's all. What's the problem?
Yeah, because Kepler's third law on interplanetary motion is a relative scale, and that would alter everything. But he thinks that's a minor concession, moron.
Right.
Any evidence of the R value?
Nah.
That molten iron core, is that stretching too far?
Still waiting for Paul Voigt to give us that evidence. He said that we weren't intelligent enough to understand it. Still waiting.
Let me
Well,
guess.
don't
He
they
didn't
give it-
allow you to actually test that. You just wouldn't say it.
Don't they draw pictures and give it to children in school, but they can't give it to us?
Oh, that reminds me. So, did you guys? Everyone's aware that Nathan got accosted by the local police for.
Not me.
I don't know what he was arrested for,
Not
but
me.
it was something to do with
Not me.
schools.
Nathan Thompson, not me.
I didn't say you did, I?
She said Nathan.
Oh, Thompson. Yes, Nathan Thompson.
Oh.
Well, the ballers got really uptight about him approaching children in school. They tried to brandish him as some kind of like perverted paedophile, some kind of unsavory character, right? Obviously, it's because they don't want him talking to children. And we realize that they don't like this. This is a tactic that they definitely don't like. So what I realized, I saw this morning on something on Facebook. I'm going to dig the thing out now and share it because it's really important that people see this. The ballers made a massive deal over how like seedy it was that Nathan Thompson did something, right? Now, what it dawns on me is when I saw this post that was put on the same channel, ballers now want to approach school children. Apparently, some baller's done a leaflet that he wants to dish out, basically saying that look into flat Earth, none of it works. But my point is that when we do this, they say it's seedy, dark, and mysterious. But when the ballers do it, it seems to be acceptable. So I'm like, oh, really? So it's double standards for us. Then we're not allowed to approach the school kids, but they can. I'm going to find it.
I don't think either party should be approaching school kids at the gates of schools and giving them out cards about any subject at all. I don't care if it's diet related or anything. I don't give a shit. Just keep away from everyone else's kids.
Yep.
What, you don't want Jam Panda to hand out leaflets to children about how flat earthers are all wrong?
No.
Surprise, surprise.
There's a check. To be in on the property, you've got to be, I think it's called BNC checked. I used to do them back when I was in recruitment. I used to recruit for the prison service. And the process that you put them through is very strict, and it applies to schools now. So right down to the caretaker. If you're going to be dealing with those children, you've got to be thoroughly checked that you're not a pervert. Now, I'm not implying for a second that Nathan Thompson's a pervert or that he'd do anything untoward with those children beyond what he actually did. And what he did was tell them Earth's flat. Well, some people might just pass that off as, well, so what? Well, I said this last time, I don't want to throw him under the bus, and I understand his sentiment, and I see where he's going with what he's doing. But by the same token, there's very strict processes to keep you away from other people's kids. They're there for a reason, and it's not to be meddled with. And if you do, expect aggravation. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're a baller handing out stuff saying flat Earth's stupid, or someone saying flat Earth's wonderful, or somebody that goes in and says, listen to this teacher's the Earth's a globe. It doesn't make any difference. You're not qualified or in any way vetted to be dealing with those kids. That's my attitude towards it. Just keep away from other people's kids. Why do I have to say, isn't this obvious?
I think you're missing my point. He wasn't on the school. You don't need vetting to be outside the school. So let's not infer that he was on the school. He wasn't. He was outside the school. And what was the other point I was going to say? Oh, yeah. The point I'm making is that the ballers seem to be making their own leaflets to counter Nathan Thompson's leaflets. And they seem to be pushing the idea that they want to go and counter it with T-shirts and stuff. Now, what my point is, it's hypocritical to criticize Nathan Thompson for doing the thing that you're now about to do because it suits your narrative to react. If Nathan can't do it, neither can you lot. So I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. I'm going to find the leaflet. Bear with me.
Hypocrisy.
Okay, now hold on. I just want to respond to that. Now I've heard your point. I understand what you're saying. It's complete hypocrisy. If it was for the sake of argument, let's just remove the kids aspect from it and say that it was customers coming out of Starbucks. If it was customers coming out of Starbucks and they're being picketed by flat earthers, and then everyone gets stompled on because they don't want picketing of Starbucks customers, the globeheads that is, and they say, you bastards, how dare you go and picket Starbucks customers and tell them Earth's flat, and then the following day they go and picket Starbucks customers and tell them Earth's flat is stupid. It's double standards, and you're saying the hypocrisy is outrageous. Now, when you context it differently, you go, I can understand your point. They're just doing the precise thing that they're moaning about. But by the same token, in this context, nobody should be out anywhere near schools doing anything with kids, because they're not your kids. Just leave them alone. Leave it to the people who are paid to do that and vetted to do so. Just I don't get it. Go and picket adults at Starbucks. I'm not even suggesting that you do that, but by comparison, just that. I don't want to get flapping. I'm very knackered.
There's 2 points. So if you want, I'm screen sharing, Nathan. If you wouldn't mind presenting.
Yeah, you're on.
I don't know who Brother Ernest is, but this has come off Nathan Thompson's Facebook page. But Brother Ernest, whoever this is, spoiled Nathan's flat smack plan. Brother Ernest is printing every student in the school. I'm assuming it's the school that Nathan Thompson was outside, with a Research Flat Earth Nothing Works t-shirt. Shirts foiled, breaking news, forget that. NASA lies, about to unflat smack the Greenville SC Elementary School. Reached out to staff. I'm printing free teas to all of the children in the school. This is a big job. Well, the first point is that if Nathan's not meant to be doing it, then neither's supposed to be Brother Ernest, right? So it just shows how triggered they are. But the second thing is, it raises the bigger question, because if he's just having a coughing fit. If teachers are teaching kids that gravity is a force, even though it's expressly stated by Einstein that it's not one, then at what point do we say, hang on a minute, why are they being taught lies? Because the average teacher doesn't know that it's a lie, but Conspiracy Cats and any other teacher that's in the topic absolutely knows that it's a lie. So the question becomes, what do we do, if anything, about it? Because the children are being taught false science, and that is a legitimate complaint. But the issue is, well, where do we complain to? Who do we complain to? How does it happen?
Hold on, if I may respond to that. I responded to this yesterday as well, and that is, it really depends on the school and the students, and usually teachers are informed about Einsteinian gravity. If they're any good, that depends on how good a teacher is that school going to have in the first place concerning physics. And then it's up to the students to ask, or up to the curriculum. Usually I got in my school got taught Newtonian physics, and then pretty much right after the Einsteinian concept, and then it was just dropped, and hey, whoever was interested in whatever, was up to them.
Arwen, I understand what you mean, but I've heard kids come into 24/7 Discord and literally say they're still being taught mass tracks mass.
Yeah, and I've checked in the national curriculum, and they keep getting that taught. They keep getting taught mass attracts mass until further education, which is what we call college, and it's the step before university. It's only when you get to university that you get taught Einsteinian. Well, if you're going to get taught Einstein at university, right, that's only a very small percentage of students that leave school actually go to university to study specifically physics. The rest of the kids that don't go and do that all believe that mass attracts mass, which is why we're dealing with mongs, morons, and idiots on a daily basis and trying to correct them that gravity is not a force. That's the problem. It's numbers.
Yeah. And if we're going to talk the average Joe, well, adults that I speak to, nobody knows that the current science of gravity is the bending of space-time. Everybody thinks gravity is a force.
Yeah.
But
nobody knows that.
Hold on.
Why is this good?
Yeah, because they got taught.
Movies, and because they don't really care enough to actually look it up. People just generally assert shit that they've caught on to in their lives. Would that be the reason?
That's what Anthony was trying to establish in the middle of housekeeping. We've only got one housekeeping question left, but that would be the point to get Kosher back in the conversation, because he's indirectly asserted that he does have a belief in this. Either way, we don't know which one he's got a belief in. It could be Einsteinian, it could be a force. We don't know. But if he's willing, I'd like to find out what he does actually believe in.
Kosho.
I'm sorry, one moment, please. I'm still dealing with some work stuff, but I'll be right back with you guys. Hold on.
It's all right. You've only got half an hour to squirm out of this one, Kosho, so just take your time. It might all run out by the time you come back. But yeah, at the end of the day, if kids are being taught gravity is a force, right, the argument for it is, well, it leads them on to it later on in life. Well, there's a massive argument against it, which is A, it's false, and B, if they don't go on to university to study specifically physics, then they're not going to find out that the lie that they've been taught to now isn't actually true. they're going to still believe, like I did till I was 35, 36, that gravity was a force. Well, if you did go on to physics and realize that it's not a force, then you should have a paradigm shift in your mentality, because there should be alarm bells ringing. Because if gravity doesn't exist, we're told that we float off into space, right? That's how big the argument is from their perspective. But if you get told that gravity is not a force, and that's what they tell you would happen if gravity didn't exist, then why aren't they going around correcting all the teachers and challenging the national curriculum? Because that's what the kids are being told. It's a force. Well, it's not a force as per current science. And it's not that I'm pushing Einstein. It's that I'm saying you should be at least telling the kids that it's not, tell them the current science.
Did you have something you want to present? Is that Alwyn?
I just was browsing and I popped into this, and it's just like so typical, that like all these space agencies are always looking for excuses to basically drop those big projects of going somewhere, and they found their ultimate excuse. It's the coronavirus.
Drop into space. And any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Kosho? I heard somebody say that gravity was the container. It was Mr. Sensible again, unfortunately. He said that gravity was the container. Well, there is no evidence that gravity is a container, because we have the definition for container, and it sure as shit don't say gravity is part of it. So I've asked for evidence supporting the notion that gravity is a container to give us gas pressure. So far, crickets.
You know what's weird about that, right?
Like
we've been saying you can't have gas pressure without a container for a little while now, and we've been told consistently that there's no container required for gas pressure. Now all of a sudden it's like they're conceding that they require a container. They're just saying that the container happens to be gravity. But we didn't need a container. So how's gravity a container? Whatever the hell gravity is supposed to be.
How is an effect going to be a container? That's interesting.
I was going to say, we know what gravity is because it's defined, and we know what causes it, but you can't formulate the definition of gravity as per current science into anything to do with gas pressure, because gravity is currently defined as an effect. Well, the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. Well, you try formulating that into what's stopping the gas pressure from bursting into space, and you can't do it. Although I'm sure Brenda probably could.
Well, the thing I keep hearing is regarding gas, is that they keep saying that what goes up must come down with regards to gas. As if,
but that's not their model.
As if gas particles are like physical things.
Yeah, but that's not their model. Our model says that what goes up comes down. It's called the biogeochemical cycle. That is that which goes up must come back down. But on their model, everything goes off into space because it's an open system in a vacuum without a barrier.
No, they just don't account for the supposed vast amount of space out there. What goes up must come down is an old saying, and it is natural because it is contained. So even the gases that are very light, that are very low density, will go up. They may, for some reason, at some point go down again. But that's only because
not on their model,
container. It's only
not on their model.
Hold on.
On their model, when it fucks off into space, it's only in real world or on our obviously controlled, contained, enclosed, membraned. Only our side where that would happen.
That was Owen's point.
It's not happening on their model.
That was Owen's point.
No, it doesn't.
Hold on.
Yeah, it does.
Anthony,
fucks off into space on their model.
Guys, hello. I just want Owen to actually make his point again, because you've made it on his behalf and repeated it in 3 different ways, but...
Right. What goes up must come down is a very old saying, and it works, but it only works with pretty much everything, including the very low density gases, because it is all in a container, and it can therefore cycle. Because if it was too big, then it wouldn't do that. But at the same time, in their model, it's not like it happened. It doesn't happen. It just vents off in outer space. No, that is when you actually start to take it serious and fix it. They don't do that. They just say gravity, and they don't think about it. That's it.
Let me reword it very concisely so that Arwin can disagree or agree.
disagreeing.
Only on their model does gas pressure go into the vacuum of space. In the real world, that which goes up comes back down because of the biogeochemical cycle. But the real world is not the same as their model. There is a direct conflict. So when they say that which goes up comes back down again, not on their model it doesn't. On their model, it all fucks off into space instantly.
Yeah. So in other words, to summarize,
They'll argue that's not their model.
yeah.
Oh, really? Do you want to tell me what their model is then?
No, their model
Yeah,
is that.
their model is a little bit more simplistic, where they don't try to figure out the natural consequences of things. They just say
No.
gravity and that's it. And the rest.
Tell me what their model is.
Simple. A ball.
He's agreeing with you.
A ball surrounded by gas in a vacuum of outer space. Why it stays there? Don't think about it. Gravity. That's their real model.
Yeah.
Their
that's
real
about right.
model is not
That's
complete.
about right. But I just want to summarize. In other words, when we're at the point where we're arguing about, you're saying that there's cycles for gases, right? And that's going to require a containment in the first instance. In other words, when you go to their model where they have already got a gas around a ball in a vacuum, well, that's an impossible starting position. Now, they don't justify why, they just say gravity, according to you. But my point is that in the first instance, to have that gas pressure in their model, they'd require containment, which they don't have. So there'd never be an instance where they'd have gas pressure in the first place in their conceptualization of a skyrock flying through a vacuum.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello, Adam. The point
I've got to say that was impressive there, Nathan, from Riley and Arwin, managing to argue while simultaneously agree on the same thing.
I know. They were actually agreeing totally with each other the entire time. I just wanted Arwin to make the point. Anthony rumpused him, added a couple of words, and then made Arwin's point 3 times for him. Then Arwin did the same and started talking about what their model did, which was Anthony's original point. You're like, you're both in agreement. For God's sake.
No, I agree with him in a different way.
No, I agree with him
you.
in a different... Someone quote that, Arwin. No, I agree with him in a different way.
Lucky Tony, by the way.
Oh, shocking. I should have put the bet on.
Yeah.
Hello, personal admin, live show. What's going on?
I'm just hoping Arwin realises that their model doesn't have things going back down again once it's gone up. Their model, everything goes up and out in all directions away from the Earth because of gas pressure and no containment. That's what I'm hoping he agrees.
That's
it is.
No, it's not.
Arwin.
No,
What model?
Listen
Look,
to
Arwin's
me,
doing it deliberately now, I can tell.
Listen. Don't talk. Listen.
You're doing
No,
this
it's
deliberately.
not. No, it's not. That's the natural consequences that you make from their very much incomplete model. It's not their model.
No.
Yes,
That's the natural consequences that we can demonstrate with experiment.
Yes, and they don't do that. It's not their model.
It is their model.
You make of their model.
model?
No, it is their model, Arwin.
Listening. It's what you make of their model once you get real with it.
That's wrong. It's what we can demonstrate happens
not
when we
wrong.
have gas
You're not
pressure in a
listening.
vacuum.
Their model
Arwin,
is not supposedly based on reality. It's only when you actually take the natural consequences, put it all together, that it doesn't work, that then that happens. But that is what you make of their incomplete model. You're
Right.
trying to complete
Gotta
their
agree.
incomplete model.
Let me just
Anybody
agree with
hook
Arwin.
me
Stop
up
a
with
second.
this model?
Hold on. Let's just agree with Arwin. What Arwin's basically saying, Anthony, is that the model's just a model, and when you conceptualize the model, you square a circle by saying gravity holds the gas in their model. Well, it doesn't. Arwin's saying no, that's just a flaw with the model that's not addressed. Now, the fact that fundies at ground level take gravity, and you've got an objection that it's taught as a force in school, and they put 2 and 2 together and say, well, the force that's not a force that you can think of as a force holds the gas pressure in the model. Well, that isn't the way the model works, is Marwin's point. But you can conceptualize it that way to square that circle, even though it doesn't really square it. If you were to actually actualize that, it wouldn't work. That's Arwin's point. But you can make it conceptually work if you reify the model in that way, is Arwin's point.
Exactly.
But the point I'm making is that when Arwin quoted somebody as saying what goes up comes back down, that doesn't actually do that on their model. And I'm trying to get a consensus where that doesn't actually happen on their model, so it's a false statement of fact on their behalf. Can we get agreement on that, Arwin?
What? I need to reify that nothing real happens on their fictional concept?
Yeah,
Okay.
me and Chocolate have
Sure.
got different ideas about this, Anthony. So, as opposed to gravity, now we understand that doesn't work. So, if we were going to go back to the ball, Chocolate and I, we'd be talking about those bra-burning, forward-thinking gas particles that just decided that they weren't going to comply with the second law of thermodynamics. They went, no, we will not comply. We will not fill the available volume. We're going to stay here, and we're going to draw a line. And later some human will call it Carmen.
The true pioneers of gas history.
Exactly. That's what we'll write about. We'll write about those pioneering gas particles. Not about this gravity nonsense. It's not even a force, Anthony. Get on board with the pioneering gas particles, mate. It's far more tenable.
And we need to make like a kid's story out of that.
The point is, you can make up any... The point is, you can
How
make
fun would
up...
that be?
I just want to make a point. The point is, you can make up any excuse you like within the reification. If you pick that particular just so story of gravity to square the circle of gas not filling the space, then you do it in your reification. And all it is the conceptualization being actualized in your world. Well, that's just you and your use. Well, yeah, there's a lot of fundies out there. I know, Anthony, you've rammed it down my throat enough times that do the same thing. The kind of gravity holds it there. And you can shake them and go, gravity's not a force! And it won't make any difference.
I'm totally lost.
Sonic just says gravity.
By the way, anybody has that model that they've been talking about?
It exists in your mind, Chocolate, along with the, pioneering gas particles. They exist in my mind.
Zanuck just put that gravity causes a.
Zanuck,
Oh my
gravity doesn't
God.
cause anything, it's an effect.
Zanuck, didn't we do this like 5 months ago?
He regurgitates, rinse
Didn't
and
you
repeat.
even concede that you couldn't get anything that stated that gravity causes another force, which I thought was supposed to be the force, but apparently not, according to you. So what are you
Zanuck
doing?
does something
What are you
called
saying?
Chocolate. Zanuck does something called rinse and repeat. What he does is he makes a point, it gets destroyed, and then 3 weeks later he comes and makes the same point again, hoping that new people have not heard it before, or that the people that destroyed it are not in the hangout. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
however
rinse and repeat Zanuck is all washed up now.
But this is the point that you're fighting with somebody's own justification, like the Apple fanboys that AI Overlord was talking about. If you go and point out to them that they've got a crap phone, they're not gonna like you for it. They're gonna try and justify why you're wrong and you don't understand how the product works. And in this instance, when you tell them that gravity is not a force, they're gonna not thank you for it. They're gonna tell you how you're wrong. You don't understand gravity, and you don't understand mathematics. And mathematics causes this stuff to happen. And why are you so stupid, Anthony? Well, that's when yesterday, just to bring a bit of clarity to why I'm saying this, when I was like, this is all on you, I'm saying it's on you at that moment, at the point that you go, no, gravity is a force. You don't understand forces. I've spoken to George Musa. That's when it's on you. Then you're deceiving yourself. Then you're coming up with the excuse for the crap phone. You're just a fanboy. Well, at that point, that's where I'm saying it's on you. You're the one who's deceived. And you can only take responsibility for that in the future, should you ever recognise it in the future, as opposed to a sweeping generalisation that everybody's just got to accept that they're, not seeing the hidden signs that the Kabbalah put out for you to see, but you weren't reading them. That's not what I meant. I'm just saying that there is a point that you have to accept that you're making excuses for a system that's broken, and when it's highlighted it to you, and you still make those excuses, that generally is quite cognitively painful also. So you've got examples like Conspiracy Cats, where they lay that cognitive pain out, some with projection, on Haunted Houses show. So they are describing it, some of them are at least honest enough to share their pain with us. But it's useful because we can then describe back to you, the audience in this instance, how a justification for something that clearly doesn't work, because you've got a reification that you want to defend, is your bad. That's my point.
That was one of the most convoluted explanations I've ever heard.
Well, what was the? Are we done with the last housekeeping question? And is Kosho available?
I'm dying to
No,
ask him about
seeing
gravity. Yeah, Kosho.
He just said hello.
I said, yeah. Hey, I have call waiting, but they can wait, I suppose. What were you asking, Mr. Riley?
I was just asking you if you believed in gravity and if you could give us a definition for this belief.
I like I'm not sure I'll be able to remember correctly, but I like what's his name? Is it John Wheeler? John Wheeler has a good definition I like. I might butcher it, but he says, and this is describing gravity. He says, mass. No, he doesn't say mass, does he? No, he says, that's what he says. He says, mass grips space-time, telling it how to curve, and space-time grips mass, telling it how to move. It's very succinct and to the point, and I think it does it justice, in my opinion.
Is he the current science? Is he the current citation for, or the current authority for gravity within science?
He said, "Is he the current authority?" There's not really an authority in science, but he's a.
Oh yeah, there is. There is.
Smart
It is
dude, I'd
both
say.
defined, and we know what causes it, and we know who it is that's currently done that. And is it John Wheeler or not?
He's wrote. I think he was. Did he write Gravitation? I think he wrote Gravitation. Actually, it's a pretty big book about gravity.
It's a yes. It's a yes/no question. Is he the current Is he the leading expert or the current citation for gravity in science or not?
He was at one point. I'm not sure if he's even still with us. He might be. He might have passed.
No, he's not. The current leading citation for gravity in current physics is Albert Einstein, who defines gravity to be the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. That's it. So we know what it is, and we know what causes it. So in the context of things that fall to the ground, like Newton's apple, how does that do that with the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass?
Yeah, Wheeler wrote about Einstein's gravity, and he did describe things like apples and such. I think you said it pretty well, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's called verbatim.
Same thing I said, but
no, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you
said
it yourself.
No. What Kosho said was a more poetic version of the same thing.
It was. It was poetry. What I did was cite verbatim Einstein's current leading authority in physics on gravity.
So what? There's no issue. There's no issue. You're not in disagreement yet. Go ahead, Kosho. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying that it'll describe apples in the same sort of way, where something like the Earth will distort the space-time, which will
I'll give you apples.
Hold on, Anthony. So the Earth will distort the space-time.
The apple.
Okay. Start again. You got interrupted. I'm sorry, Kosho. The Earth will distort the space-time for the apple. Is that what you said?
Right. Yeah, which will compel the direction and sort of the movement of the apple appeared to go towards the bigger mass, the Earth.
So, in the context of the atmosphere, how does the atmosphere stick to the outside of the ball in a vacuum?
No. It's not scatting on him. Hold on. He's answered your question. So he's saying that space-time bends. I don't want to summarize it for you, Kosho. He's trying to go on to a different subject. So describe again how it's described by this John who, sorry?
John Wheeler, but he's really just using Einstein's description. He just goes more in depth.
But if you can summarize specifically the bit about the apple and the bending space-time, that'd be great.
Well, I mean, I'll butcher it, but yeah, so space-time is said to be the construct that mass is in. And you can imagine mass and energy as being information in this construct. And as the simple presence of this information, especially concentrated, so if it's got a smaller volume, it's more dense, it's going to have an effect on other masses, and the magnitude of the force is going to be it's going to be to a direct ratio of the two masses and the distance between them.
Nathan, I was prepared to concede his eloquent description of apples. We are on gas pressure without a container point, and I wanted to bring it back to that. So I'll concede the apple's point. He's right. But I'd like to know how gas pressure can exist in a vacuum of space around the sphere that you tell us we live on without a membrane of some kind, but according to Mr. Sensible, gravity acting as a container. So if you could apply it to that, I mean, I'll give you the apple one, but I really want to know how we're breathing, because we shouldn't be breathing according to your model.
Sure, I'll trust that you really want to know. But they're back on the phone. But I'll tell you real quick. All you have to do is replace the apple in the example with the air, and you have the same effect. The air is being compelled toward the earth the same way the apple was. It's one and the same.
It's not.
The only thing these equations describe are masses. And these masses, it's not important what these masses are. It just matters that they are mass, and you can put them into the equations and they work.
Yeah, because you're making gravity into a cause again.
And you're saying an apple is analogous to gas. Is an apple analogous to gas, Kosha?
It's not analogous to gas, but the property that they share is the mass that they have, and the mass is all those equations require. So
equations. What happens?
Yeah, like when you put them out, you don't have to type. You don't have to put an apple. You don't have to put an air. You just have to put in the mass and the distance it is from the other mass.
Okay, so how do those equations equate to us having air in an open system?
I suppose it'd be a lot like having
I think
sack
that's what
of feathers on a windy day. You have a big sack. I'm sure that the ones at the top will blow away, but you're still going to have a hefty pressure at the bottom of that sack, and it's due to the weight of all the feathers above it. And I'd say the atmosphere
is this
analogous to that.
demonstrable what you're saying without a container?
Just using an equivocation fallacy that's no one spotted yet. I'm waiting for someone to spot his equivocation fallacy. Maybe he knows. Sure. Do you know what equivocation fallacy you've used, Kosho?
I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to see Riley.
Carry on.
I was curious.
I'm quite tired, so I'm hoping someone else will spot it now. I've given them the hint. No?
Yeah, what up, Kosho? What up, everybody here?
What's going on, man?
So it's just equating gas, which doesn't have a downward acceleration attached to it that you can measure its mass with. It expands in all directions. And then later he described pressure, the pressure of the bag of feathers. Well, the pressure in the case of gas is the force it exerts on the walls of its container, because it's expanding in all directions. Now you can cross-reference weight when you force a load of it into a container and then stick it on a scale. That doesn't alter the fact that it's then under a differing pressure, which is the way you'd actually qualify it when it comes to gas. And the force of that pressure is qualified by the amount per square inch it presses on something. So this bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time, acting upon the gas particles the same as it would act on an apple? Well, no, it wouldn't. The gas, unlike an apple, wants to expand in all directions, Kosho. Up as well as down. So the gas, which is expanding in all directions, in a heliocentric model, will just expand in all directions also. It won't go down, like your apple. But that's the difference between your mass with its downward force and pressure with gas. It's just a clumsy equivocation between two different things. Weight and pressure.
Yeah, I asked him.
Yeah, I agree.
Was the apple analogous to gas? And he clearly said no. So
Chocolate, what I said was
about the apple.
That, What I said was that they both have the property of mass. And for these equations involving gravity, you don't need to type in apple or type in gas. You just type in how much mass it is, the distance it is from the other mass, and you're good to go. But Nathan, I'm trying to address what you said, and I'm almost forgot already.
Now, have you got someone talking to you, giving you tips, maybe?
No, it's just chocolate. Chocolate threw me off. It just reminded me the summary of what you said, I suppose.
Kosho, you're saying that the gas particle itself is the mass, and Nathan is just saying that that description of it goes in all directions, and you're now stuck, it would seem, because it would have to go only down.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Taffman. Right.
No,
so
that wasn't the
this
compliment.
bothered me as well. I tell you, it bothered me for a little while, but then I came across something called hydrostatic equilibrium, which basically describes a balance between the upward force of the pressure that you would be describing, or some kind of directional
water,
pressure,
hydro,
and the
water.
downward force of gravity.
Just trying to clarify terms for you, Kosho. Hydro, it's water.
Yeah, I know. It confused me too when I first saw it. I'm like, there's no water involved, but it's a term. I think it has more to do with fluids.
Oh, fluids. So when you compress gas to the point where it's all behaving as though it was bonded, even though it's not, it's just compressed to the state that you would describe as a fluid. So it's still acting like a liquid then. When you're talking about hydrostatic equilibrium, it's highly compressed gas that behave as fluids. So this isn't gas behaviour by any stretch of the imagination. Gas expands in all directions. Now, to achieve hydrostatic equilibrium, you'd have to highly pressurise the gas, would you not?
I'm not sure that it has to be highly
Why not?
compressed.
It's your example. Why not? You thought this all became clear to you when you studied hydrostatic equilibrium? Why wouldn't you know this?
Well, I'm just being generous.
Obtuse.
I suppose,
Yeah,
but,
you're being obtuse. No worries. I'll just explain it to the
magnitude.
audience then if you don't know. No problem. Yeah, you're talking about fluids. Another equivocation. When we talk about gas, it's not fluid. While you can describe certain gas under certain circumstances as being liquid-like, it isn't liquid. And gas has certain behaviour. For example, expanding in all directions to fill the available volume it has available to it to fill. That would be gas behaviour, not fluid behaviour. I don't know why you've used this other clumsy equivocation after a lot of stuttering and seeming like you're being fed information. Why would you use this second clumsy equivocation, clumsy boy? What's going on?
You're right. I can be clumsy, but the same way a square is a rectangle and a square, gas is a fluid and a gas.
No, it's not.
So
no,
it actually is a fluid.
No, that's incorrect. Gas can exhibit liquid-like behaviour under certain circumstances. That doesn't mean that gas is like liquid. And when you put it into those certain circumstances, it will behave like liquid. And those certain special circumstances are called fluids. That doesn't make gas liquid. It doesn't mean that gas behaves like liquid. It does not. I'll say it a second time. You've hand-waved it. Gas expands in all directions. To fill the available volume? It's called entropy.
Yeah, but there is a physical property that distinguishes liquids from gases, Kosho. That physical property is known as... Huh?
You understand the term I used is fluid, right?
Yeah, you're using an equivocation and describing gas as though it was liquid-like by using this term fluid. That is, let's count 1, 2, the third time I've said that. Why are you ignoring it?
And it's
why are you ignoring it?
Interest that you don't do it again.
Is it because it's the end of the line for this argument, Kosho? Is that why you're ignoring me? I've said it 3 times. Do I need to say it a 4th? Please acknowledge what I've just said to you about your equivocation between gas behaviour. Now you're talking through me. I'd like you to summarise my point that has demolished this argument of yours 3 times. That would be a summary that you're equivocating liquid-like behaviour described as fluid, with gas behaviour which it's not. Please summarise my demolition of your utter garbage. Please.
All right, well, but you have to promise to let me finish.
You're done. You're done. I've chopped off your head 4 times. Now you want to finish your argument about what fluids do? No, mate, that's not gas behaviour, is it? That'd be fluid behaviour. We're talking about gas and its properties. Now, gas behaviour is that it fills the available volume. Now, in your crazy world of spheres and Earths that are round in the shape of balls, you've got a gas with gas behaviour that's defying natural law by not filling the available volume. And your explanation for this is, well, it behaves like liquid. We call it fluid. Well, no, that's not what gas does. That's 5 times I've said it, Kosho. Please acknowledge it.
I acknowledge that 5 times you've said gases are not fluids. But by definition, gases are fluids.
No, they're not. Gas can exhibit fluid-like behaviour. That's the 2nd time I've said that. Under certain circumstances. That's the 3rd time I've said that. You're just ignoring everything I'm saying, Kosho, and rinsing and repeating what you've already stated and I've already demolished. What's wrong, Fundy? Don't you like flat earthers taking apart your equivocation between gas behaviour and fluid behaviour? Do you not like me taking this apart? Do you need to reassert it again? Or maybe ask for more opportunity to spray this garbage over my audience for a prolonged period? What's next, Kosho?
I just suggest anybody just look up the word fluid, see what it says.
Let's do that now.
Kosho.
Yeah, but Kosho, we were talking about the atmo, and you went to hydro. You understand the problem?
Yeah, I understand the problem, and it's not the
just
the
letting you
words
know
I'm using. It's
where we're at.
The people I'm talking to.
Now, Kosho, let me see if I'm tracking here while the definition is coming up here. And I'll pause if it's up now.
Sure.
But you're saying that fluids are gases. Can you demonstrate without a container a gas becoming a fluid?
Absolutely. The second you see a gas, it's already a fluid. Because gases are fluids. Fluids are describing liquids and gases. And gases are part of that subset.
Citation, please.
Gases and liquids are described as fluids because they've got similar properties at in certain situations. But there is a difference between gases and fluids, a physical characteristic that is fundamentally different. Do you know what the physical characteristic that's different is, Kosho?
So fluid, a substance that flows and is not solid. So under certain circumstances, high pressure, when you push all gas really close together, you can get it to behave like liquid, which is to say, in this example, that it would flow. Now, gas does not flow because it is unbonded. Liquids can flow because when it's gas under certain circumstances behaving in a fluid-like manner, they can appear like they're bonded because they're forced together to flow. That's what you could do with a gas when it's highly pressurized in a fluid-like state. But that's not gas. Gases don't flow. Gases aren't bonded to flow. How's a gas going to flow, Kosho? Because that's what fluids can do.
I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you. You don't know. Shut up, then. Shut up.
You have an air
Shut
flow,
up. Shut up.
obviously.
I don't know. Blah blah blah. Shut your dumb mouth. I know that gases don't flow because they are unbonded. So this is a 5th time, 6th time now. It's an equivocation. Gas doesn't behave like that, Kosho. Gas fills the available space. Fluids, on the other hand, flow. But gases don't. You're just equivocating liquid behaviour with gas behaviour, which it's not. Gas expands, to fill the space. So in your heliocentric model, the gas would fill the space.
Over.
Silence.
I don't know if you're live right now, but if you want, we can restart the whole show, and I'll just pretend I didn't say fluid, and you guys didn't look foolish for 10 minutes, and we can just do the whole thing.
Sorry, and ad hom, you think I look foolish? I've explained, I'll do it for a 7th time, that you're using an equivocation fallacy to make gas behaviour like liquid behaviour by calling it a fluid, which gas can be under certain circumstances. However, gas behaviour is not the same as fluid behaviour. For example, it does not flow. You can't get gas to flow. What it does do, unbonded that it is expand to fill the available volume. In the case of the heliocentric world of bullshit, with a sphere underneath your feet and a gas void above your head in the form of a sky vacuum, the gas would follow natural law, expand and fill that volume, leaving us with absolutely no air to breathe. Now, you equivocating with the word fluid doesn't stop gas being gas and doesn't change gas behaviour. 7 times. You think I look stupid, Kosho? No, you've had your ass handed to you and your equivocation pointed out 7 times. That makes you ignorant, stupid, or unable of education, incapable of being taught. Do you need it an 8th time that you've used an equivocation fallacy?
Taught, so
Mumble, 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 mumble. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where I bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Shut the fuck up, Brenda.
The way to
All you
gas
do is talk shit.
Simple ideas.
Boring.
Have you ever heard of a cold front,
Oh,
warm
God.
front?
Here we go.
Is there,
Hello,
is there
Can I just have a
airflow?
conversation?
Is there wind? Is there wind and cold fronts and air fronts on the Earth, Nathan?
Brenda,
Fucking-
nobody cares. Can
Shut
we
the
say what's
fuck
up
up,
to Isa
Brenda.
first?
Yeah,
Fuck
let's
off.
just
Shit.
say you're
stop.
on.
Non-stop
Is there cold
shit.
front? Is there
You
cold
chaos.
fronts on
Non-stop
Earth?
shit, Brenda.
Hello?
Shut the fuck up.
No need.
She's
Are
right,
there
dude.
air currents? Are there air currents on Earth, Nathan?
Who cares?
How do we have air, Brenda?
Yo, you win. You
Gas
win,
us.
bro. We're done.
Doesn't-
We're done.
Yeah,
You win.
going in
Bye.
both
In
directions.
currents on Earth.
Okay.
Going in
Nathan?
both
Keep
directions.
saying the same
Brenda.
thing,
Harvard
Brenda.
agrees with you, but in a different way, Brenda.
Yeah, the air flows in both ways.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Nathan said air doesn't flow.
Well, it doesn't flow due to
Nobody
Coriolis
cares.
effect, because then it would flow all in the same
No,
direction.
air
in reality,
flows,
in
we
this
can
realm,
watch
it
it
doesn't,
flow.
though.
That's
No, she's got a
called, it's
good point.
called weather, you fucking moron.
Yeah,
No need.
exactly, and not Coriolis effect.
It's called weather. Air is a fluid.
Oh, I see.
happening
Air
in
is
a
gas.
And how do you
system.
have that gas
It's
pressure
all
in the first
happening in a
instance?
pressurized system.
How do you have gas pressure in the first place without a container, Brenda?
You said the air is not a fluid, and it is, because you can see.
He asked you a question, you
airstreams.
stupid bitch.
No
how
need, Guy. No
how
need.
do airstreams exist on Earth if air is not a fluid?
So you need containment first. Our question is in regards to gas pressure without a container. Given that gas expands in all directions.
No, that's not the question. You're wrong.
Yeah, it is.
That's
We've
not
been
the
asking
question.
it for months. You just want a different question that you want to answer.
Yes. Well, I want to talk
Yeah,
about.
oh, right. Well,
air
that's tough luck.
and liquids
Our
being
question,
fluids.
our question is in regards to gas pressure in the first instance. If you don't have containment, you can't have gas pressure because gas expands in all directions.
in the air we have atmospheric pressure. That's different.
How do you have gas pressure at all without a container?
We have atmospheric pressure.
How do you have it without containment?
And
how can you have
air flows like a fluid on Earth. It's
What
called the
atmosphere made out of?
airstream and the jet stream.
Brenda?
Sorry, Brenda, you're
Does the
ignoring my
stream
point.
flow,
In the first
Nathan?
instance, here, Brenda, you're talking about a delta of gas pressure, i.e., how the gas that's at pressure behaves. Well, we want to know how you can have that gas pressure in the first instance without containment. But you're yet to answer that, something we've asked for months, but you're like, no, I want a different question.
Oh, you know the answer to that. It's gravity.
Gravity's not a force.
It doesn't matter. It still
it does.
acts on
it's
air
critical.
enough to contain
It
it.
doesn't matter. No, it's just the demolishment of your religion.
It's at the bottom. It's a gravity
So,
well. The Earth
If you're
creates
saying
a
it doesn't matter,
gravity
that there's
well.
a possibility that it's not a force then? Is that what
Right,
you're
Brenda,
saying? If it doesn't
Brenda,
matter?
You guys had a whole hour to do this before,
Gravity
you know, Brenda.
is an
This was-
effect. Gravity
exactly.
is the effect of mass distorting space-time.
Oh, God.
That's
And that
fascinating.
Great.
effect
We're over it.
contained
We're over it.
the atmosphere
How about the
of the Earth close
Whoever's
to the
rumpeting her
surface.
from the Discord, hold on, Brenda. Whoever keeps talking through her, can you stop doing it, please?
Have you ever seen somebody pour carbon dioxide, Nathan?
How can you have gas pressure without a container?
I just told you. Gravity.
You said gravity, and I said no. You ignored me. I said gravity's not a force, and then you started talking about gravity wells and bending of concepts, space-time.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Brenda,
if it's not a
Brenda,
force.
now you're
It's
interrupting me. I don't get it. Now you're interrupting me. This is the point we got to last time. You hand-waved it, now you're interrupting me. What a shock. Yeah, I'll try and slow things down then, Brenda, if you're going to start interrupting me when I get to the summary of where you got demolished. You don't have to like it, but I will summarise it. Last time I got really annoyed because I tried 3 times. This is the second attempt. So, Brenda, we reached the point in the conversation where I asked how we can have gas pressure without a container, given that gas expands in all directions to fill the available volume. And you said the solution to that problem is gravity. My rebuttal: gravity is not a force. You agreed, and then started wandering off into the worlds of concepts and bending space-time. Now, while people might be... now that's the 3rd time you've interrupted me. Now, while it might be very interesting for you to tell me all about your reified concepts of space-time bending, I couldn't care less. Natural law definitely exists, it's easy to demonstrate. Entropy's real. Your bending concepts, on the other hand, only exist in your mind. Gravity is not a force, so that is not a solution to how we have gas pressure without a container. Now, at this point, I'd like you to address my rebuttal and then move on to the actual point, still yet to be addressed, how you can have gas pressure in the first instance without a container. Feel free to first address, 4th interruption, the fact that your rebuttal was useless and the gravity is not a force holding gas pressure, and then get to the actual point, how you have gas pressure in your deluded world of spinning rock in a vacuum without a container.
Okay. Well, gravity is the effect caused by mass creating a bending space-time, and so gas exists at the bottom of the gravity well created by the Earth, and that's how you have gas pressure.
Right, gravity well, what the bloody hell are you babbling about?
What? Where did
It's called a gravity well. We're at the bottom of a gravity well because the Earth creates a bending of space-time. And so we're at the bottom of that.
Sorry, Brenda. I'll try, guys. Brenda, slow it down again. While it's fascinating to listen to you describing how you have reified bending concepts, do you understand that sentence?
Are you done?
I'm asking if you understand. Am I done? No, I'm not done. Far from done. I'm trying to get acknowledgement from you who seems to ignore these things when I say them, step by step, each part of what I'm saying, whether or not you understand it. No, Brenda, I'm far from done. You're retarded and it takes a long time. So no, I'm not done, love. I'm trying to get an acknowledgement of a simple statement that you've reified a concept of bending space-time. I want acknowledgement of that before I can move on. So I'm definitely not done while you interrupt me. So, no, I'm not done. Do you understand that you've reified a concept of bending space-time? That's step one. There will be more steps.
No, I haven't. I haven't reified it.
Show me space-time. Go.
Space-time is all around you.
Show it to me.
Come on, Brenda. You got
Just
a good
look
answer
around.
for this
It's all
already.
Just look around. What is this, Willy Wonka? What?
Yeah.
Are we looking for love?
Yeah, that's.
Are we looking for love? Look
you.
all around you. It's all around. Love is everywhere. No, it's a concept. It's not everywhere. Not look around. No. You dumbo. Shut up while I berate you. You little masochist.
No,
at least you can take the pummeling.
The difference between things and ideas.
Hush now.
You don't understand the difference
now. Love, sit yourself down, love. Sit yourself down. The more intelligent people are speaking about how you don't understand. Oh, she's gonna flap and flounder while the educated people talk. Brenda, have I got to shut you up? You seem to be continually talking through me now. Yes, Brenda. Space-time, like love, can be reified.
Don't frighten me,
Brenda.
You're just
Brenda, I'm talking. Last chance. Then you're going to be removed. Like love, which you can sing about being all around you, it doesn't change that love, like space-time, is, and by definition, a concept. Not real. Not physical. And when you take that which is not real and conceptual and actualize it into something that's physical and tangible, that is called reification. Now, you telling me that I can see something all around me when I can't is reifying a concept. Space-time is a conceptual medium. I'm going to have to kick you out, Brenda. You can't tolerate being told. Doesn't matter what tone I take with you. Speak slow, speak fast, explain it once, explain it 5 times. You're going to interrupt me, aren't you? You're going to interrupt me, Brenda. I'm trying to slow down and explain how you have reified a concept.
Forever and ever. I mean, it's
I will.
boring.
I'll do what damn well please. How dare you?
Boring. You're just a boring, stupid
That's an ad hominem
man.
attack, isn't it,
You're
Brenda?
A boring,
but ad hominem. Time for ad hom. Bye-bye, Brenda. You've got nothing but ad hominem. So your response to me pointing out that you've reified a concept of space-time is to tell me that I'm boring. Ad hom. Piss off.
Damn, I was hoping we could get to the donut. I don't know how the hole in the donut is space-time. I was curious about
Just look around, it's everywhere.
Simply look around and view it.
So can the hole in my ass also be counted as space-time?
Love is in the air.
Bong, bong, bong. Bong, bong, bong. Bong, bong, bong. Need Gene Hackman to do a little roly-poly. I've not got a GIF. I'm sorry.
For any wondering, Brenda is the end result of what happens when a woman smokes meth during pregnancy.
That's an ad hom also. It's no need. She was defeated on her argument stance. There's no need. They don't like it. They don't want us ruining their worldview. And when we tell them they're reifying something that's not real, that they don't like it. They're going to thrash and flap. That's all Brenda's doing. Hard for them. You know, sometimes I do actually have some genuine sympathy, as much as most of the time it's sarcastic. Yeah, cognitively it's painful. Spew it all over us. They project it all over us. And for a while, that worked. Now it's water off a duck's back, and it's like, these people are just in pain.
Nah, fuck them. They deserve no
problems
sympathy.
with liquids not being gases. They don't understand that concept.
And
No, they're in the
apples not
chat
being
saying
gases either.
gases.
Ballers. Liquids are not gases, okay? Idiots.
And neither are
Yeah, but
apples.
now they're saying that fluids
For
aren't
sure.
liquids. And I've just looked up the definition, and liquid is a fluid. It's crazy.
Yeah. They just arbitrarily classify gases and liquids as fluids. No problem there. But gases are not liquids.
That's the key point. Gases are not liquids, although they both are described as fluids.
They both are arbitrarily classified as fluids.
Right.
I think the fluid description in relation to gases tends to come out of what they kind of cloud, I think, which is the way in which large volumes of different pressure systems in the atmosphere interact. That can be described in terms of fluid dynamics. So it's not strictly the same because it involves the interaction of the pressure systems, but they do equate to a similar dynamic way in which they interact, which can be called fluid dynamics when you're talking about, let's say, air and pressure systems, but it's not strictly in the truest sense the same as if we were interacting two fluids.
It's just an equivocation. They need air in the heliocentric model to behave like bonded liquid. So there's a very useful term, like a segue word, to use the descriptions of what liquid when bonded is doing, and having a force pulled upon it like an ocean, pulled to the surface by their bullshit version of gravity, even though it's not actually gravity. But nevertheless, they're going to describe it in some sort of way that it's got bonded behaviour being pulled downwards. And that's not how gas behaves. So they just use this word, fluid, to offer up liquid-like behaviour to gas when it doesn't have it. That's all it is. It's an equivocation fallacy. I said it to him 8 times.
I was thinking how they're trying to cloudy the waters there, Nathan, and the best probably example I can give is that if I have a kilogram of a solid and I change the temperature from 25 degrees to 50 degrees, I've still got a kilogram of this solid. If I take a kilogram of this gas, whatever it is, it would still weigh a kilogram. It would have a pressure, and that's how we would measure it, from its pressure. But if I was to increase the temperature from 25 to 50 degrees, its pressure would double. And that kind of shows, for me, how they're trying to misdirect people in trying to conflate air pressure and weight. They're very, very different things in the way they're expressed. The pressure, weight is what it weighs, but simply, they may try to conflate that by determining mass times gravity, but it is what it weighs, its physical exertion on you from its whole of its mass, whereas pressure is a very, very, very small in a collision interaction multiplied by millions and billions of times to give an overall exertion and sense of a overall force, which they try to call weight, but is in actual fact a amplitude of millions of collisions. That makes.
Yeah, you've explained it on multiple occasions. You're really good at it now. It's getting more and more concise, actually, Adam. Oh, wasn't that fun?
Are you guys done? Fucking hey.
Fucking shit, that.
Hey, Asa, by the way.
Did you
I
guys
didn't
ever
get to say
get
hello.
sick of this conversation? Jesus.
Sing us a song, Asa, please.
What's up, Mr. Meek? Yeah, no, I got to freaking run to the store right now, so I'm just driving. I didn't know if I was
Are you out of toilet rolls, Issa?
Yeah, you know how we do it.
Just for
Do you
the
know what I'm
audience,
referring to?
Just
Yeah,
hold
well,
on,
you-
Anthony.
oh,
Just,
yeah, no,
hold
fuck
on one
you, I
second.
know what you're referring
Just
to.
for
Yeah,
the
I
audience's just for the audience's benefit before I round out the after show. So the guy who's talking, Issa, say hello, Issa.
Hey, what up, brother?
He's the good looking guy that I use instead of my face. When you see the guy going back, that's Issa.
Yo, I fucking cringe every time you fucking have that. I'm like,
Nah,
oh,
not
God.
at all. The
I
ladies
turn
love
it
it,
off.
man.
I'm like, oh God. Yo, I hide it. Hey, yo, I hide it from. Actually, you know what? I used to hide it. Now I showed it to my girl this morning. I was like, you see, they got me up here.
That's cool, though.
Cool. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making the after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!